flashing as people walk by. And I'm not going to point her out because I know she wouldn't want to, but I think it's very interesting that the friend that I talked about in this book is actually in this room. I haven't seen her in years, so it's kind of nice. So she's probably quite embarrassed, and I will not point you out, Lotta. So many people are like, this shit is not true. There's no, it's true. It's totally true. Alright. So the chapter that I'm going to be reading is called The Psychopath on the Other Side of the Bathroom Door. A few weeks ago, my friend Lotta told me that her doctor told her that her antidepressants weren't working because she had too many toxins in her body and that she needed to use a colon cleanse to flush everything out of her system. It sounded completely insane, and I told her that. But then she mentioned that when she took the colon cleanse, she lost 3 pounds that very day, and I was immediately in. I convinced myself that I owed it to my family to have my crazy pills working properly, but really I just wanted to lose 3 pounds without working out. And that whole sentence kind of proves why I need to be on crazy pills. So I went to the grocery store, but I couldn't find a colon cleanse. I considered asking the pharmacist, but as I was waiting in line, I had a conversation in my head that went a little something like this. Yes, I'd like some colon cleanse. I've never heard of that, said the pharmacist in my head. Sounds like something deviants use. No, it's something that cleans out your colon so that your antidepressants work better. I think you're using your antidepressants wrong. They go in your mouth. You are surprisingly unhelpful for a healthcare worker. I called the police, you deviant. I'm not sure why I jumped right to the pharmacist calling the police, but once the thought was in my head, it was stuck there. And so I panicked a little when the pharmacist asked me what I needed. I paused awkwardly and then asked where the reading glasses were. And then he said that they didn't carry reading glasses, which is weird because most pharmacists do. And I always have to try them on and pretend that I'm a naughty librarian. And so instead of the colon cleanse, I decided that I would just buy a bunch of extracts because I figured next best thing, right? I bought the extra strength stuff because it was the same price as the regular strength, and so technically it was like I was saving money. And I thought that would help my argument later when my husband Victor demanded to know why I had bought $20 worth of unnecessary laxatives. Although later it turned out that he didn't really care about cost effectiveness because he hates being economically feasible or just wants to be fat or something. I already knew that he would be all judgy about the whole thing because he's also very unsupportive when I wanted to buy those Chinese foot pad things that suck all of the toxins out of your feet at night while you sleep. He claimed that the whole Chinese foot pad thing was a scam, but I think it's just because he wants me to suffer or possibly that he's racist. And then when I called him racist, he got all mad and screaming, and I was all, I don't even know what I'm saying, those are the toxins talking. But he still wouldn't let me buy them. And this is exactly why I waited until the week that he left for a business trip to New York to actually do the cleanse. I took 2 chocolatey squares of extract that night, but then I noticed that the directions said that it would bring gentle results. And it seemed like a good colon cleansing shouldn't be gentle at all. So I took 3 more tabs. And they were chocolatey and delicious, and I was kind of hungry, so I ate another one. And then nothing happened at all. So I ate another one. And then the next morning I took 2 more because I thought maybe at this point I had some sort of freakishly high laxative tolerance and there was something wrong with me. And then I went to Starbucks and picked up a giant frappuccino. See, you guys get it. I didn't know. No one told me that coffee was a laxative. I know it now. So I drove back to my home drinking my frappuccino and then my intestines exploded. I mean, they didn't literally explode, but it totally felt that way. And at first I was all, okay, pain is good, feel the burn. But then I realized this is not like yoga and that I had in fact made a horrible, horrible mistake. I'm not going to get graphic, but it basically felt like my legs had melted and an elephant crawled inside my stomach and was clawing his way out. And the elephant had claws, apparently. And his nose was made of snakes. Since Victor was in New York and my daughter Haley was in school, I had the whole house to myself, which was good because honestly there would have been no way to maintain the sensual mystery of womanhood had anyone heard the noises coming from that bathroom. At a certain point, I started worrying that I might be ODing. I wasn't sure what ODing on laxatives actually looked like, but I was fairly certain that it would be messy and that you would probably shit out your entire colon. I'm not sure if this is actually medically possible, and I thought about calling Alana to ask if she felt like she was shitting out her colon when she was doing her cleanse, but I wasn't sure that I could talk without screaming, and also I didn't have her phone number. And so I sat there thinking that this would be a horrible way to die, because basically, no matter what I had accomplished in my life, it would always be overshadowed by, and then she died on the toilet from pooping out her lower intestine. Like if it had happened to Thomas Edison, that would totally be the very first thing it would be in his Wikipedia entry. It would be all Thomas Edison who pooped out his own colon. Made a variety of inventions and changed the way we live today. Did we mention he pooped out his own colon? Because he totally did. Thomas Edison pooped out his own colon. Honestly, we can't stress this enough. It was about this time that I decided I needed to take action, so I found some Pepto-Bismol and I took a full dose. I considered taking more, but at this point, I was concerned that I might want to call 911 for help, and I didn't want to have to explain why I had taken 3 times the recommended amount of laxatives and 3 times the recommended amount of anti-diarrhea medicine, because even to me, that sounded like a poorly planned suicide. Just taking 1 dose of the anti-diarrhea seemed somewhat rational comparatively. Surely, I thought to myself, this will make me seem much more credible and less likely to put on suicide watch. Of course, the Pepto-Bismol was no match for the raw power of the exerpt and was much like wearing shin guards in the middle of a tornado. Except even less effective, because at least with shin guards, when they got your body later, you could still wear a skirt in your coffin, unless your legs got ripped off entirely, which could totally happen. But the Pepto-Bismol didn't do anything at all except turn my tongue black. Interesting side note here, when I wrote this book, I thought that everyone, when you ate Pepto-Bismol, turned your tongue black. Turns out that's just like 1 in 6 people that happens to. So now like 5, 6 of the people that read this book are like, what the fuck is she talking about? And the other 1/6 were like, yeah! That was just me, yeah, exactly. And the reason I know this is because Pepto-Bismol contacted me. They were unpleased. It crossed my mind that maybe eating a bunch of cheese might help. It's homeopathic. Because I once went to school with a girl who ate too much cheese and got so constipated she had to go to the hospital to get the poop removed by a doctor. And after I heard that, I could never quite look at her in the same way. I often wondered whether she got to keep the poop removed, like when you keep your tonsils. And then I remembered that I didn't even have any cheese in the house, and that even if I did, it didn't matter because I couldn't leave the toilet long enough to get it. And that is when I heard the noise at the bathroom door. It sounded like someone leaning against the door and tapping it lightly with his knuckles, and I was all, oh my god, I didn't lock the bathroom door. And then I thought, wait, why would I need to lock the bathroom door since I'm the only one at home? My initial thought was that it was a murderer or a rapist, which was quickly followed up by the thought that if it was a rapist, he was going to be terribly disappointed. I heard the possible rapist again, and so I coughed because I thought maybe it was a burglar who just didn't realize I was at home. I hoped that the coughing would give him the hint that he needed to leave, although technically the other noises coming from the bathroom were probably much more intimidating than the coughing. But I was trying to be polite because I'm a lady. And then someone slid a note under the door. too if it wasn't for the laxative rapist combo bearing down on me. And then another note came slowly peeking from under the door, and I realized that this wasn't a note at all. It was actually the wrapper from a Band-Aid. And that's when I realized that I was probably dealing with a psychopath, because why would anyone pass me a Band-Aid wrapper unless they were completely insane? So I yelled, "I'm calling the police, and I have diarrhea." Now, people walking out right now. Because I thought that might discourage the rapist. And then it suddenly got very quiet, and suddenly the Band-Aid wrapper was violently pulled back from under the door. And I thought, what the hell? And then shot back to the bathroom door again. But this time I could see that it was being pushed under the door by a fucking cat paw. And that is when I realized that the cat had knocked over my purse and was just shoving receipts and assorted purse flotsam under the door. Then I murdered my cat, but only in my mind. It occurred to me that I should write this all down, but I didn't have anything to write on except for the paper that the cat had pushed under the door. And so I yelled, "Posey, push the paper further!" But he did it because he's an asshole. And also he's a cat, so he doesn't speak English. So instead I wrote this all on toilet paper with lipstick, but just a few words and not the whole thing, because I hope it's ridiculous. And then I said a little prayer, thanking God for saving me from being assaulted, and also for not making me have to explain to the ambulance drivers that I had accidentally mistaken my cat for a rapist after purposely overdosing on laxatives in order to make my antidepressants work better. Mainly because that's the kind of story that gets told over and over again to the new ambulance crew recruits. But then I remembered that girl from high school who had the poop bubble removed, and so I thought that maybe in comparison my story wasn't quite so weird. Except when Victor came home later, I told him about it, because how could you not share that story? And he got all testy about the laxatives and implied that I, quote, couldn't be trusted at home unsupervised.